instant regret on Percival doing main character stuff and helping out that freaking fairy, because he's clearly not a good guy. I'm actually kind of wondering if he's even a fairy, because even when we first saw him, I didn't think he was a fairy, just because he looks more sinister. Like, I would guess he's maybe some form of imp, or, some form of evil, just hellish creature, some equivalent to it. But I already just wish so bad Tonkatchi arrived late and this little dude got killed, because not a good person whatsoever. Like, there doesn't seem to be any redeeming qualities about it. And on top of that, it doesn't even seem like it's some form of, like, misunderstanding, or it's like a perspective thing. The little dude just looks like an evil bastard. He even has a lot of evil faces going on with him. But essentially, in this chapter, we had, first off, I know Quan Incredible is going to be very happy that not only did Percival get his hair cut, but he also put his helmet back on to hide his hair. Also, I'll do a quick shout out to go check out and subscribe Bud's channel. He also does stuff on Fortnite's The Apocalypse, so go look at his stuff. He's unusually, it helps me get some of the chapters so I can read them and do the reviews on a good time. He's at 60 subscribers, let's get him to, that nice 100 mark. Anyway, in the chapter, we have some really spooky horror stuff. So the big thing when it came to the last chapter that I was, just genuinely very curious about, because, the series has passed the Holy War, so I don't think this enemy could just be as, a demon or whatnot. One, it looks a lot more horrific looking. Like, I'm wondering if it is related to the chaos stuff, because he did come out of a pool of some kind, and we know that the Lady in the Lake from the end of Seven Deadly Sins that was, knew about Arthur and stuff was inside of that one lake. I don't remember what the lake is called off the top of my head, but you know what I'm talking about. The one that they fought over the Demon King, and launched the attack so it did destroy Britannia by aiming it going right into this big super magic lake. But during this whole thing, this dude comes out, and I like this page. Originally, I was going to do the panel for this chapter as, like, the full body shot of Ordo. But I really like how they were talking about, like, oh, maybe one of the reasons why the plants and the wildlife are getting messed up is because, no, not the animals, because Nassian said that the animals and stuff are a side effect of, him trying to figure out a way to save the forest, like, doing his whole experimentation on plants and whatnot. And then you look over and you just see this big, disgusting face of a creature with a bunch of hands coming out of the, of the crater. And again, it looks, face takes up most of its body. Like, it's literally like a head, and then, like, its gross maw and stuff is, like, at its throat. It's got all these warts, and it walks on only hands. Like, it's got 6 arms and how it goes about itself. And the only thing, like, prior to that, because I noticed there was a part when Donnie told Percival to, he's like, will you quit risking your death already? And one thing that Quan Incredible told me that I actually think will make a lot more sense than just having their power centered around the 4 signs of the apocalypse, that it's going to be similar to the Seven Deadly Sins, and how their sins were more about why they have, their certain mark. It's not like Meliodas' power had anything to do with Wrath. It was, Wrath was part of his backstory. That was his sin. So I'm wondering if Percival's thing will be something like this, where he'll be constantly rushing in, risking his own life for others or something. Something involving, that with death. But the whole part with this thing, it's like creeping out, coming out of the gorge, jumping down, screaming, flailing about, and just being a gross creature. But you had a funny moment first off. Percival saw him, because Nassian's, it's like, oh, is that my grandfather? Is that Ordo? And Percival's like, oh, wow, he's like 3 times bigger than my grandfather. And granted, Percival probably wouldn't think of it more as, like, this thing is a horrifying, nightmare fuel creature. He'd probably think of, like, oh, this is that grandpa that Nassian's telling about. He must, assuming he was really nice. I don't think that he somehow didn't pick up on, like, something's wrong. I mean, I guess he hasn't met a lot of people, and he just met a giant, so you could have really odd-looking creatures like this. Because, like, say you had it just as, like, a really grotesque monster, but maybe he was a nice guy. You could have something like that, but no, this is just some really, really gross creature. But I'm, again, really wondering what exactly it is. Like, what caused him to be like this? My guess right now, and I'm going to stick with it until, otherwise specified, it's going to have something to do with chaos. Because the the weird little fairy thing did mention one thing when they're like, asking why he did it, and he said it's like, oh, because he's a sinner, which again makes me wonder how exactly far he's gonna go, because if he's going after people that sin, at some point he's gonna have to go and try and mess with the 7 deadly sin. Well, I guess 6 deadly sins, counting no Escanor. But I mean, he's gonna have a bad time, especially when it comes to people like Meliodas or Merlin or King. Like he's gonna get beaten the hell up. Maybe it'll be a gradual thing. It'll be like their aim, their big goal to take out the sins, and that'll be like part way of how we see the sins come back. But part of the backstory for Nonsense is Ordo is telling him how he essentially wanted the Gorge to be almost like a secluded, not like a secluded place, but like a. I'm trying to remember that one. There's like a. Is it in Sweden or Switzerland? There's like a facility where they keep like seeds of every plant in case of like, I think it's like nuclear fallout or something, kills like everything on the, wipes out life all over the planet, and they have to pretty much use those to help rebuild, bring plants back. I don't remember exactly the full scope it is, but that's at least from what I can remember. But something kind of similar to that, but it's more of like he's keeping them all alive in one area, kind of growing them, keeping them nurtured, so there's always going to be pretty much every type of herb and piece to make elixirs and whatnot, and to heal poisons and diseases. He's pretty much trying to make just his own secluded garden of materials to help people, with his whole apothecarian powers, making potions and whatnot. But then he goes and grabs Nonsense. He just grabs Holden, starts crushing him, and that's when Dolores jumps in to try and stop him, talk to him, and the dude just breathes on her. And it looks, it looked like it melted part of her, did some acid type stuff. I'm hoping this, after this battle, we're gonna have Tonkatsu use his healing to fix her, because that's an unfortunate way to go for her character. I don't think she's gonna die. I assume she's gonna heal, and the only way that I believe she could get healed is either Percival, because we've seen that his magic can't heal, but that's entirely down to he has no real control yet. So maybe it could just be one of those kind of like emotionally triggered situational things where it's kind of almost like a second nature to use it in this case scenario of wanting to help her. Or maybe Nonsense can do it with one of his elixirs and, creating maybe some super potion that would heal her and fix her back up. But the creature is just all around, again, very creepy with Ordo. The fact that it's looking up all the time when it's standing, because its eyes, again, it's like a head with these long arms and these legs that are also arms, But at the same time, it's not like it has a face on its back and then a second kind of eye set. It seems to only have the one. But while it's standing, it just has the head straight up. So it's just staring at the fairy dude. Just staring right at him. And I can't wait to see this dude get squashed. This grumpy little, evil little bastard. But during that part, you have Nonsense. He's upset. He's like, what do I do? How am I supposed to handle this? What is the proper way to process this whole situation? He's just in a bad spot all around. He's not in a good, happy place. He is kind of messed up. And one thing that I did think of, I don't think I mentioned it though in my previous chapter reviews that involving Nonsense, is when you have a character like this, you have to have a really strong reason for them to join the team. It's not like just maybe some super friendly guy and the main character and them kind of hit off, really fast, and then they're able to, be like, oh, you want to come on my journey? It's like, I'd love to, kind of thing. Just when you have that kind of chemistry with, some really good character and the main character, and they just get straight along. Maybe the character has nothing going on, they want to go on this adventure, or they have their own goals and whatnot. But with Nonsense, we know that he has ties to the Gorge and Ordo and whatnot, as well as this is obviously where a bunch of stuff for his potions and whatnot are present. So there had to be a really good reason for him to join up with Percival, assuming he's going to stay in the main cast, because I'm guessing he will. I'd like to believe, at least as of right now, each of the Knights of the Apocalypse are going to have their own little crews, their own couple people, and each of them are going to be the leader instead of it just being a group with only the 4 knights. But we'll see. Again, this is only 10 chapters in. We'll have to wait. But it's similar to a thing for those who read it at Zero, when there was stuff going on with Jin, and I was like, okay, Jin, he's in a spot where he could join the group. There has to be an important story reason for him to want to befriend the main character, go on his quest, go and stand in their party essentially. And I won't go into spoilers if somebody maybe hasn't started Eden Zero, maybe went from the anime or whatnot. But it's a very important background story pieces that end up leading him that way. And similar thing with Nasian's right now, because Percival, obviously, his stuff with his grandfather, and here's Nasian, who's, you know, has Ordo, who he saw as his grandfather, you know, Ordo, who treated him like family and whatnot, too, raised him since he was a baby and stuff, and he's in trouble with that. So Percival can definitely relate on a very personal level, and I think it's actually really good that they'll be able to kind of have like a dark bond over this, kind of like just understanding each other, understanding the pain right now that's kind of, you know, happening clearly to Nazians. And it was really cool because when he's like, you know, please tell me, what am I supposed to do? And Percival just grabs him by the shoulder, you know, gives him a good embrace, gives him a bro hug. He's got a very serious look on his face too as he's looking over at the weird monster Ordo, and he's like, we're gonna get your grandpa back. Both of us, we're going to do it. So, I don't think they're going to kill this guy. I'm guessing. I mean, there's the possibility they might have to put him down, but I'm guessing they're going to end up finding a way to fix him and heal him. Maybe killing that damn fairy and wiping him out. It was weird because this chapter read super fast, but at the same time, it was really hype, just in general, because when you start series, especially in the early days, you know, everything's fresh, things are new, but I mean, like, Seven Deadly Sins obviously existed before Four Knights of the Apocalypse, so, you know, we're gonna have to see how things play out in this story, but it comes with a lot of different pieces from the previous ones that are like, okay, you know certain things, you aren't gonna have to take as long establishing aspects of the story in the world and whatnot. It's like with this, it's more of like an update. It's like you should remember all the stuff prior, and now we're going to, you know, have some more extra stuff put on top of that, but it's also going to be centered around a brand new story. So with this, compared to like, you know, a lot of their series, you still have what I would call one of the very important early things is when you meet the first bad guy group. Another series right now, I mean, I've been pushing it for a while, so probably anybody regular to my channel is, I'm a fan of Build King, and they only recently introduced the bad guy group. They're 18 chapters in, and it was only, I think, I'm trying to remember the chapter number off the top of my head, I think it was 15 or 16. So, you know, you got all the way up until then without seeing, you know, the main target. And I'm guessing that's the same thing what's going to be leading up with this event and after. With Four Knights of the Apocalypse is what's going to be the first, at least the first main bad guy opponent. It doesn't have to be like, this is the bad guy for the entire story. It could just be for the first arc, first act, or whatnot. But I really want to know exactly what it was that turned Ordo into this. But anyway, I didn't have a ton to say about the chapter. Because, like I said, it was really fast. It was, like, a lot of it was textless panels showing off, you know, the creature and whatnot, him breathing on all the environment, destroying all the trees, and then short dialogue pieces about Nasian's backstory. So, I actually got through this chapter really fast, but I did really like it. I thought this was, like, a really good, solid, first real action scene in the series. Like, the battle that Percival had against Pelagard, it was like cool in some of the aspects, but it wasn't like a serious fight like this is obviously going to be. This is where like this creature wants to, well, Ordo, but I mean like this mutated version of him wants to kill them. It was getting ready to breathe on all of them, and it already messed up Dolores, so who knows what it would do to you know, to people with human bodies. She's a giant, so she's more sturdy and durable than, you know, your average person. Anyway, other than that though, comment below, thumbs up the video, but from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But on that, appreciate it. Subscribe. Thank you all for listening. Bye.